Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell notification, because what we share on this channel is not for everybody. It's only for those who are truly meant to see it, and if you're watching this right now, I need you to understand something. This is not a coincidence. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, completely out of nowhere, at exactly 2:00 a.m. or 3:00 a.m. with no alarm, no sound, nothing, just your eyes wide open and your heart beating just a little faster than normal? You lie there staring at the ceiling, and you think, why am I awake right now? What is it? And then you brush it off, roll over, and go back to sleep. But what if I told you that those 2 hours, that window between the time you were supposed to be asleep and the time something inside you forced you awake, what if those 2 hours were not random? What if something or someone was trying to reach you? And what if the person who was sent to investigate whether you were paying attention was just caught doing something that will shake everything you thought you knew? Stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through today is going to connect dots you didn't even know existed. And by the time this video is done, you are never going to look at the quiet moments of your life the same way again. Let's start at the very beginning. There's an ancient pattern that shows up across every major spiritual tradition in the world: Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, indigenous cultures on every continent, and this pattern says the same thing in different languages. It says that there are people walking this earth who are set apart, not because they're perfect, not because they have everything figured out, but because something greater than them made a decision before they were even born. These are the ones the universe bends toward. These are the ones that challenges seem to find, not to destroy them, but to reveal what's already inside them. These are what many traditions call the chosen. Now, before you click away thinking this is some kind of fantasy or religious lecture, I want you to hear me out. Because this is not about ego. This is not about thinking you're better than anyone else. The chosen path is actually one of the hardest roads a human being can walk. And the signs that you're on it, they don't always feel like blessings. Most of the time, they feel like pressure. They feel like isolation. They feel like the weight of something you can't fully explain sitting on your chest at 2 in the morning. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that a lot of people in spiritual circles don't talk about openly. There is a concept, ancient, documented, and consistent across thousands of years of human record, that says when God, or the universe, or whatever name your belief system gives to the highest power, when that force is preparing someone for something significant, it doesn't send a letter, it doesn't send a loud thunderclap. What it does is far more subtle, far more personal. It creates a stillness. It manufactures a pause in the noise of your everyday life. And it waits 2 hours. That's the number that keeps showing up. In ancient Hebrew tradition, the third watch of the night, roughly between 2 and 4 in the morning, was considered the most sacred window of time. It was believed that this was when the veil between the natural and the spiritual world was at its thinnest. Prophets prayed in this window. Watchmen stood guard in this window, and it was believed that messages received in this window carried more weight, more truth, and more urgency than anything that came in the daylight. And you know what's remarkable? Modern sleep science actually backs this up without even trying to. Researchers have found that the human brain during the early morning hours, specifically between 2 and 4 a.m., enters a state of heightened awareness during REM cycles where pattern recognition is significantly amplified. Your brain is literally more capable of connecting invisible threads during that window than at any other point in the day. So, when you wake up at 3 a.m. with a thought that won't let you go, that is not just your imagination. That is your highest intelligence trying to hand you something. But now, let's talk about the investigator. Because this is where the story takes a turn that I need you to pay very close attention to. Throughout history, there have always been forces, people, systems, energies, whose entire purpose seems to be the investigation of those who are rising. Think about every person who ever accomplished anything significant. Think about every leader, every visionary, every person who stepped out and said, "I believe I am meant for something more." What happened to them? They were watched, they were tested, they were followed, not always by enemies. Sometimes by those who claimed to be allies, sometimes by those whose job it was to assess whether this person was the real thing or just another pretender. The investigator is not always a villain in the story. Sometimes the investigator is life itself. Sometimes it's the circumstances that keep throwing the same test at you in different costumes. Sometimes it's the people closest to you who keep watching to see if you'll fold. And here's what nobody tells you: the investigator always expects you to fail. That is the baseline assumption, because most people do. Most people, when the pressure gets high enough, when the isolation gets deep enough, when the waiting gets long enough, they give up. They go back to ordinary, they choose comfort over calling. But here's the thing: the investigator was caught. And that is the pivotal moment of this entire conversation. What does it mean that the investigator was caught? Let me paint this picture for you as clearly as I possibly can. When you are someone who has been called to something, when you have endured the waiting, survived the silence, and kept going even when everything around you said stop, there comes a moment where the tables turn. There comes a moment where the thing that was watching you, testing you, pressuring you, is suddenly exposed. Its methods are revealed. Its purpose becomes clear, and in that moment, the power it had over your mind and your choices disappears. Think about the last time someone tried to make you doubt yourself. Think about the voice in your head that said you're not good enough, you're not ready, you're too broken, too behind, too ordinary. That voice had a job. Its job was to investigate whether you truly believed what you said you believed. And every time you listened to it, every time you agreed with it, it filed a report that said not yet. Still too unstable, still too dependent on external validation, not ready for what's been prepared for them. But there are moments, and if you're watching this, I believe you've had at least one, where something shifts, where instead of collapsing under the pressure, you stand up straighter, where instead of retreating, you push forward, where you look at the test and you say, "I see what this is, I know what you're doing, and I'm not afraid of you anymore." That is the moment the investigator is caught. That is the moment the game changes. Now I want to talk to you specifically about the 2-hour warning. Because God, and I use that word to represent whatever you believe holds the highest authority over your life, does not waste time. And the pattern of warning in 2-hour windows is not metaphorical. It is deeply, practically real. Here is how it shows up in everyday life, and why so many of you are going to recognize this the moment I describe it. You're in a situation, a relationship, a job, a decision you're about to make, and something happens, a conversation, a dream, a sudden feeling of unease that you can't place, that comes exactly 2 cycles before the breaking point. 2 weeks before a betrayal, someone showed you a sign you didn't read. 2 months before a crisis, you felt something pulling you in a different direction, but you ignored it. 2 years before a life change you weren't prepared for, you were given a window of clarity that you dismissed as overthinking. The 2-hour warning is God's grace period. It is the universe's way of saying, "I love you too much to let this blindside you completely. I am giving you a signal. I am giving you enough time to adjust, to prepare, to turn. The only question is whether you're paying attention." And this is where the chosen aspect becomes critical, because here is the truth that most people are not ready to hear. Being chosen does not mean you're protected from difficulty. Being chosen means you are trusted with difficulty. It means that the force that set you apart looked at the weight of what was coming in your life and said, "This one can carry it. This one will not be destroyed by it. This one will come out the other side with something that can help others who are going through the same thing. You have been through things that should have broken you. People in your life have watched you go through those things and have quietly wondered how you're still standing. You've asked yourself that question too, and the honest answer is not that you're superhuman. The honest answer is that you were made for the weight you've been given. Not randomly, not accidentally, by design. Let me talk for a moment about what happens when the warning comes and you actually listen to it. Because there are people watching this right now who are in the middle of a 2-hour window right now. You are in a pause, you are in a stillness that feels uncomfortable, you don't have all the answers. You're not sure what the next step is. You're waiting on something, a response, a breakthrough, a sign, and the waiting is wearing on you. But here's what I need you to understand. The waiting is not the absence of movement. The waiting is the most active part of the process. While you are standing still on the outside, something is being constructed on your behalf that you cannot see yet. Doors are being closed that would have led you to destruction. Connections are being aligned that you don't know about yet. Your character is being solidified in ways that preparation can only happen in stillness. You cannot be made ready in noise. You can only be made ready in the pause. And the investigator, whatever form it's taken in your life, is watching this period very closely. Because this is where most people break. This is where most chosen ones talk themselves out of their calling. They say, it's been too long. Maybe I misread the signs. Maybe I was never meant for this. And they walk away right before the breakthrough. Don't be that person, not now, not when you've come this far. There is one more thing I want to share with you, and it is perhaps the most important thing in this entire video. The fact that the investigator was caught. That moment of exposure I described earlier, it doesn't just happen once. It is a recurring event on the path of the chosen. Every time you level up, every time you step into a new dimension of your purpose, there is a new investigator. A new test, a new pressure designed to see if you've genuinely grown, or if you've just changed your language. But here's the beautiful thing, every time you pass the test, you become harder to fool. Every time you catch the investigator, your discernment gets sharper. Every time you choose purpose over comfort, the voice that used to shake you loses its volume. And eventually, not all at once, but steadily, undeniably, you become someone who cannot be moved by what used to terrify you. You become someone who reads the 2-hour warning with clarity instead of confusion.